Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the very first Organic Boy podcast, where we talk all things eco-friendly. I have a couple of topics I would like to feature on this premiere podcast, starting with breaking news from the nation's capital. Hey everybody, I'm your host, Samuel Sinclair West. I hope everyone is having a great weekend as we're about to fall right into the month of August. And you know what that means. The dog days of summer are on its way. Although if you're right here in Florida, I'm sure most of you might agree that it's been feeling like the dog days of summer have been around for quite some time. But if you are one of the lucky ones that are experiencing cooler temperatures, then great for you. President Obama signed H.R. 1599, the DARK Act, into law on Friday, a bill that could potentially hide vital information prohibiting consumers from making informed decisions while shopping, such as whether a food product is made with GMOs or not, and potentially other essential information. The DARK Act, or Deny Americans' Right to Know bill, will allow the food industry to place a QR barcode on food products if consumers are willing to find out more information about their food. The bill will also cancel Vermont's famous current GMO labeling law and prohibit other states from forming their very own GMO labeling laws. Working in the supermarket industry for years, I can definitely tell you that most consumers don't even take the time to look at the nutritional facts on foods they decide to purchase. In fact, most consumers are in such a rush when making trips to their local supermarket. Checking nutritional facts or ingredient tally is not a priority for most people. Price points, retail store promotions, or coupons are always top priority for most consumers that forage for food items especially. One thing I know for sure is that the public is so uninformed about agriculture. This is a fact. And how the agriculture business works. We are unfortunately so far removed from food production that it's hard to even try to educate consumers on the fact that there are some foods that are actually made in laboratories of some sort, and you can't trace back some of the food items to their natural source because it doesn't exist. Let's say, for instance, we're all aware that maple syrup comes from a maple tree, correct? Now, if I were to ask you, let's say, where does syrup come from? You know, the conventional syrups that most people use for waffles and pancakes that are made with artificial flavors. You might just stare at me a little funny. And so with that in mind, even trying to have a conversation about GMOs with consumers is like discussing the possibility of transportation via a time machine. Sounds a little wacky, correct? That's possibly because most of us didn't grow up any agricultural background or try to pursue a degree in agriculture. According to justlabellit.org, studies have shown that 90% of Americans support mandatory labeling of genetically modified foods. So then you might ask, well, so what is the real question now? What do we do now as consumers if there's just going to be a little barcode on the front that you have to scan with your smartphone device? GMO activist Justin Harvey says, well, if you really want to make a change, vote with your dollars.
As time goes on, it's becoming more and more clear that our elected officials are bought and paid for by corporate interests. And, you know, I think the takeaway from this is that the government isn't going to save us, and we can't depend on them to look out for the health and safety of our food. We've got to take matters into our own hands. So I encourage everyone out there, don't be discouraged about this news, even though it's not good news. But just use it as motivation. Go out and if you really want to make change and make a difference, vote with your dollars. We've got to hit them in their pockets, hit them where it hurts. So boycott these big food companies that sell GMOs. Choose organic as much as possible. Support your local farmers market, because there's really only one way to know that your food is truly safe to eat, and that's with that organic stamp or you actually growing it yourself. So we've got to take matters into our own hands, and we've got to be the change that we wish to see, because I think that's the way we stop this.
The DARK Act will go into effect in the next 2 years. Earlier this week, CNN reported that Cockroach Milk is the protein drink you didn't know you've been missing. Scientists have found that the Pacific beetle cockroach feeds its bug babies a formula which is remarkably rich in protein, fat, and sugar. I don't care about all of that. I don't care how much protein it has. I'm not drinking that stuff at all. But I must say, it is a pretty interesting news topic in food, and I am on board with nut milks, cow milk, coconut milk, but cockroach milk, I'm sorry. This won't be the new superfood for me. Nope, I just cannot try that. Even if it prolonged my life for 10 more years, this is just disgusting to me and gross. I read the article this morning while I was lying down in bed, and I just had to hop out of my bed quickly. The strands of hair on my arms just made me feel like something was crawling all over me. At least that's what my brain at the time was processing. Again, folks, case closed for me on this one. Although I find this news a little disturbing, the one thing I would like to know is how are cockroaches able to sustain themselves for such a long time without food for about a month or water for a very substantial amount of time? This fact about the insect I just think is pretty interesting, especially reading if there was an event that took place that would completely wipe out mankind, cockroaches would be able to survive. At least that's what I've heard prior and read. That's just a little creepy to me, but I really like to know what you guys think about this whole cockroach milk. So just please send me a tweet at The Organic Boy, and sometime check out my Instagram page too. Follow me. Anyways, thank you for listening to my very first podcast, and join me next time. Let me know what you think. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.